Hi everybody, welcome back. Ralph Havens here, physical therapist, integrative manual therapist, and matrix energetics practitioner. And I'm very happy that you found your way back to the second video in this video series, the autoimmune solutions. And I'm very excited to hear some of the emails and some of the comments in the video of what people have already noticed that's been different, that's changed for them simply by being on this video series. So thank you for those, and please keep them coming. Let me know what you all are noticing and what's been different for you since watching these videos. Now, in the last video, I showed you how I actually got over a long-standing problem. That problem that started off as a running injury problem that wouldn't go away for 8 or 9 months, and then I found my way to this work, and working on my heart and the blood vessels in my heart actually shifted my leg and I could run again. And so I started to get the idea that getting to the core problems, the root causes, could be the way to help people get over chronic conditions. And I also talked about how the unexpected miracles for me were my teeth got better and I no longer had dental problems after having them for 20 years. The last 20 years or so have been without dental problems, and how that was a result of getting to the root cause of conditions in my body, and I could be healthier. And then the other part that was interesting from that first video was how I got over the anxiety and the crazy sweating issues that I used to have. So all this happened because I was getting to the root cause of conditions. Now, I showed you, talked about one of my clients, the lady who had rheumatoid arthritis, and how now she doesn't have pains. She's told me she really doesn't have any more pains. She's not on any of the medications anymore for rheumatoid arthritis, and she no longer even has a rheumatoid arthritis doctor. So I wanted to review that for you, and if you haven't seen the first video, you might want to go back and watch that. There was actually an actual session. I did a session for you, so those of you that watched it had a session, a distance session, and some of you noticed some changes that, and I was glad to get the messages back from people. So if you haven't watched the first video, you can go back and find it on this page and then come back and join us. Now, these sessions, these video sessions are set up so that even by being on the video, by that I mean watching the video, whether you watch it a day later or 2 days later or 3 days later, you can still have a shift. So I'll be talking a little bit more about that phenomenon today because it's something that comes up in questions. So I'll talk a little bit more about that and how that can be, how you can have a change simply by watching a video. Now, in the 32 years that I've been doing this work and going from being a physical therapist to integrative manual therapist to matrix energetics practitioner to doing things at a distance over Skype and online and even in these videos, I'm of course amazed and inspired and feel truly blessed to be doing this work. I never imagined that this is what I would do, especially working at a distance. And so I feel very blessed to be doing that. And I want to start the video today with some of the emails that I've gotten back over the last few months and even years. But just to give you a sense of the feedback I get so that you know what can be possible for you. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this and just read it. I won't. Yeah, so this is from somebody, actually it might have been, yeah, this is, I won't divulge names here, but here's the email. Hello, Ralph. I don't see who else to give credit to except you. Feeling so much lighter, grounded, gathered, and centered. Feeling more present and comfortable in my own skin. It's blissful. Thank you. Seriously, over the years, I have had so much work done on myself, but have not shifted. After 2 sessions with you, I feel so much lighter. Okay, and then here's another one from somebody that I actually saw in person. I had 2 sessions with Ralph during a 2-week vacation of the Pacific Northwest. It was like having my own very gentle wizard during and after the sessions. During and after the sessions, things shifted. Stuff was gone that I didn't need anymore, and I was glad to give them a one-way passport to extinction. Pain I had in my back for 20 years when sitting in those dreaded airplane seats, poof, gone, bye-bye. Thanks for the lessons. Food allergies and sensitivities to even good, healthy food markedly better. more choices, happy body, happy taste buds. Anger towards my mom for feeding me very unhealthy food when I was a child, transmuted to understanding and love. Brain fog when around synthetic perfume, and discomfort when I was around those who wore it. Done. Hello, brain. I didn't realize this until 3 weeks after sessions with Ralph. I was standing next to a woman at a party, and I realized I thought her perfume smelled nice, and I was thinking clearly and feeling great. This has been an issue for me for over 30 years. After the first session with Ralph, I could comfortably be in a new rental car with chemical smells without the mask I was previously wearing in the car. Prior to seeing Ralph, I was having knee pain. My husband and I went on 17 hikes during the 2-week vacation. I had virtually no knee pain. Only 2 times I had a tweak of pain for about a second. I'm amazed and grateful for these shifts in my life. I was already doing many things to improve my health and well-being. I feel that having these sessions with Ralph was a key element to having more emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual health and happiness in my life. Thank you, Ralph. And she signed this one, and let me share it, Wanda Honeycutt. So I wanted to tell you that some of the stories so that you can get a sense of what I've noticed and what can be possible for you. Now, in the last video, I talked about we moved up to the Pacific Northwest from San Diego, and I had a successful practice in San Diego. I had 5 therapists working for me, and I had a good life, and things were going well. And I had solved that running injury problem, and the heart problem, and the teeth problem, and the anxiety and sweating problem. So I was doing all right. And then something happened. So I all of a sudden got an injury where I couldn't run again. And I had severe bone pain this time, bone pain in my leg. And it really was limiting me. So I started going to therapists, and I had my own therapist work on me, and nobody could fix it. Nobody could kind of tell me what was going on. And over the course of months, I actually went through this for over a year and a half before I started to piece it together. And I started having some depression again and anxiety, but more a deep depression. And I was having practitioners that were telling me my kidneys were having a problem, my GI tract was all locked up, my liver was having a problem, and they had all their ideas around it, but nobody was making a difference for me. So, and I couldn't run. So it took me quite a while, but I found the answer. And what I found was that San Diego had started putting fluoride in the water. Now, what I've come to find out after doing the research, after having this problem for about a year and a half, was that fluoride is actually more toxic than arsenic. And it's not even allowed to be put into the water supply like the streams, but for some reason they've convinced municipalities that it's useful for helping with tooth decay, which the research is not very strong on that at all, but that it causes severe bone problems and kidney problems and liver problems and GI problems and depression and other things. So when I found that, I found filters, and I can tell you about those so you can look for yourself too. I can give you that information. Just email me or leave me a message. And we got filters to get it out of the house. And so then I felt like I wasn't dying anymore, but I still couldn't run. I had severe bone pain. So I went for another period of time, and then a practitioner friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, found a very old ancient remedy about how to detox fluoride out of your bones and out of your body. So I did it, and 3 days later I was back to running, and good. And so I kept on that regimen for about a year and cleared it up. But really, within 3 days, I was back to running, and I was pretty darn good. So in that process, we see where they didn't put fluoride in the water. And that's how we found ourselves up in the Pacific Northwest, and we have a well, and we're by a city, Vancouver, that does not put fluoride in the water, and by a little city, Bellingham, that does not put fluoride in the water. So we found our way to more of my dream life, and it kind of took that to do it. But along the way, I found how there can be things in the environment that can be making you not well. And I found that, and I found some other ones, and we talked about gluten in the last video. And so some things are useful to take out of the environment so that you can heal, and then there's some things that are useful to help detox that can help people heal. So my immune system had gone a bit haywire, and my body was fighting itself. And when I found these answers, it shifted. So I want to get that information to you, and I want to get you a PDF of 18 things that you could look for in your environment, that if they're there, you can shift it, change it, get rid of some of these things, and it can make a dramatic difference in your life, and you can get over some very chronic conditions. So I will get that to you soon in a PDF. It'll be in this, this page. So now, when you think of the immune system, when I think of the immune system and autoimmune conditions you could think of as yourself fighting yourself. You know, why would your immune system, your antibodies and your killer T cells, be fighting your own bones and your own thyroid and your own kidneys and causing problems like anxiety and depression and pains and tiredness and weakness and susceptibility to things like Epstein-Barr and Candida and Lyme's disease? Why would you be in this place like this? It goes back to the root cause of things and the basic idea behind this work. And that's that your body is doing the best it can do even right now. Even if you're dealing with lots of pain, even if you're dealing with lots of conditions, even if there's Candida overgrowth or yeast of some type or Lyme's disease or Epstein-Barr, or you're exhausted or you're tired or you just can't get through the day, and depressions and anxieties, it's doing the best it can do. And what we're finding is that the symptoms, all these symptoms I just talked about, are your body's versions, ways to try to protect you from something. And if we can find out what your body's protecting you from and shift that, then your body can naturally heal. And so when I think of the autoimmune conditions and the immune system in general, you know, you have the thymus gland, which is here, and it gets cells from the red blood cells in the bone marrow, so from the bones that come up, and then the thymus gland makes these killer T cells that go out and attack the different invaders. But sometimes it goes and attacks yourself, you know, your own bones and your own thyroid and your kidneys, and causes adrenal problems. And so why does it do that? And when we think of the immune system, what the science finds so far, and there's a lot unknown about the immune system. It's really not completely known in any stretch of the imagination. But what they found is that 85% of your immune system is coming from your gut. So we talked about the gut last video and how gluten-free can be a really big start or big help even just by itself. The gut is 85% of your immune system. It makes all your little neutrophils and lymphocytes and all sorts of things that help protect you and look out for invaders and keep things right. Now, when you think of invaders of some type, some sort of infection or thing that's causing a problem, bacteria, yeast, candida, fungus, viruses, and we think of, you know, in the allopathic world, you think antibiotics. Let's go kill these guys. And even in some of the alternative holistic fields, there's all these supplements and essential oils to go kill stuff, you know, kill things that are not right, the Lymes and the Epstein-Barr and all these things. What, you know, some of you may know, I've talked about this before in other videos, but if you think of the number of cells in your body and you count them, only 10% of the cells in your body are human cells. Actually, you're 90% other than human. So what is that? Well, actually, it's bacteria, mostly bacteria, but there's parasites, fungi, viruses, different organisms, and they're all in a balance. They're all working in a balance. And what the science shows so far is that it's like an 85-15 balance. 85% so-called good bugs and 15% so-called bad bugs. And if you have that kind of balance, you're good. The thing is, the scientists haven't really found anywhere near all the numbers of the types of bacteria in the gut. So, you know, when you're taking probiotics and that, and you're taking one strain, there's so many different kinds. And the immune system is so intricate and it's so amazing. I was talking to a really good doctor that I trust. I can tell you about him if you want. You know, let me know and I'll give you some of my teachers. And he was talking about how when a baby is born and it's coming through the birth canal, in the last 2 weeks before the baby is born, the mother's gut flora, the mother's bacteria, completely changes. It's completely different bacteria. And then with all that pressure coming through the birth canal and the GI tract being really close to the birth canal, the baby coming through the birth canal gets the mother's bacteria. And so then after the baby's born, it has its immune system started. And what's interesting then, within 2 weeks, the mother's microbiome, mother's bacteria, is actually back to what it was before. So in a very, very short time, completely new bacteria for the mom, transferred over to the baby. 2 weeks later, completely different bacteria again for the mom, back to regular bacteria. That's a really intricate system. And how much do you want to be trying to kill something with, either a pharmaceutical or a holistic supplement? Because that's a system that we don't really have a total idea of how this thing works. Like, how does that happen? And there's a Harvard study where they're actually talking about and doing studies on injecting fecal matter into clients with certain autoimmune and GI diseases to give them a new bacteria. So say you had a C-section when you were born, or say you got a lot of antibiotics when you were growing up, and a lot of things were done to kill your bacteria. Can you get it back? And what I've found and my teachers have told me is, yes, you can get it back. And there's things to do. There are supplements that you could take. And I can tell you more about that, but that's beyond the scope of this video for sure. But I can get you that information if you like. What I found useful is to use ancient wisdom and technologies that were here with us 10,000 years ago. There was a dentist in the 1930s, you may have heard of him, Weston Price, and he studied indigenous cultures in the 1930s to find out who was thriving. And there's a big story about it. His book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, is a great book. And he found people in the Outer Hebrides Islands of Scotland and high up in the Alps, and the Eskimos and the Canadian Indians and the Pacific Islanders and the Kenyans. And he found different groups that were thriving. And of course, they were eating different foods. But what he found was they were doing the same things. They had the same categories of food. And they did the same preparation for certain parts of the diet. And he asked them, why do you take so much time and effort to do all this work for your food? Even though he saw that they were thriving. And they said, because we need perfect babies. Now, that's a powerful ancient wisdom. And when you're thinking of the biome and how powerful it is and what it can do, we might want to tap into that kind of wisdom. I'll leave you with one more story from the radioactivity that was going on in Japan. There's a book, it's called Human Manure. It's about composting toilets. So using human manure in compost, and then you let it sit there and become compost for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and what you have is really good dirt. And I was actually at a workshop a few years ago building natural building houses, comp houses, and the guy had that, and he showed us the dirt that came from this after 2 or 3 years of being like that, and it was really nice dirt. It was really dirt. I mean, good dirt. So they did a test of this dirt using composting toilets in Japan, and with the radioactive material and all the problems that were there, and they found the dirt had no radioactivity anymore. And it was really, really good dirt. So that if all those bugs that make all that compost and all that stuff can do that, and if your gut can change as quickly as a mom's bacteria can change, and what else can change if you could change this gut? And so that's a lot to ask for a medical model, like, whether it's allopathic and drugs or holistic and supplements. It's a lot to ask for that world. But what we can go to, and what I like to do, is go to ancient wisdom and use that knowledge. So this is a lot of data, and I can totally get you more, and I will. I'll send you some emails, but ask me for some questions, and I'll get this information to you. But it's what we use. It's what we use for our health. It's what we use for our clients' health. And it's what we're going to be doing more and more with this Miracles, Magic, Healing, and More autoimmune series that I'm doing right now with you. And so the cliff notes of it are grease, guts, grass, bone, sprouts, and pickles. That's the way we remember it. So grease is saturated fat, because what they found is sugar and grains are the things that weaken the immune system. And now that that's been found out, that's been a paradigm shift for a lot of people. And so saturated fat from animals that eat grass is really good. So grease, guts, the organ meats. So liver, even though people can go, ooh, liver, there's ways to eat liver that are very palatable, and a little bit goes a long way. It was considered a very sacred food in ancient times, given to the warriors and the pregnant women first. And it's very powerful, full of a lot of nutrition. So grease, guts, grass stands for animals that eat grass, having a raw animal product. So raw cheeses, if you were high up in the Alps, different kinds of raw products. The Eskimos had the raw fish eggs, raw fish. So grease, guts, grass, bone is bone stock. So all these cultures had a bone stock. They all cooked down the bones and drank the bone stock. Chicken soup is actually a really good remedy for a lot of things. So grease, guts, grass, bones, sprouts. Not all the cultures ate nuts, seeds, or grains, but the ones that did took a lot of effort to do something, because there's something called phytic acid that coats these grains and seeds and nuts, and it irritates the GI tract of animals that eat it, and so then it can pull nutrients out of your body. And so what these ancient cultures did is they sprouted it and they fermented it. So anybody that ate nuts or seeds or grain would sprout it, and they would also ferment it. And then the last part is pickles, which just basically means fermented products, so fermented vegetables. Now, this is a talk, this is a video, this is a session for you about autoimmunity and the immune system. And when we know that 85% of the immune system is in the gut, and we know that we don't know a lot about how these intricate systems work, and how if a mom's body can change that much gut flora that quick, and composting toilets can take radioactivity out of soil, what are we doing? So this way of eating can start to shift the gut and change everything about your immune system. So it's a piece that, while seems a little removed from autoimmune, it's really powerful, and when brought into the healing process, can be really big. Now, I want to do a session for you today. I want to do a session for you for each of these videos, so make sure you watch each of the 4 videos, and I'll be doing an actual distance session, and we're about to do one now. And I just want to check in again with you, because I know I've been getting some emails and comments about how does this work? Like the video sessions, you're doing a video and then I'm going to watch it later and I'm going to get a change. And so what I want to have you think about is, there's a lot of stuff that appears to be magic, and technology at its best appears to be magic. Arthur Clarke said that years ago. And, it wasn't that long ago that the idea that we could take a little device that was handheld and talk to somebody and see their face in real time, and they were over in China, when that would have been completely just pure science fiction. And while, we do it now and we think nothing of it, it's like, well, that's normal, that's like a normal thing. But do we know how that works? It's like, I don't know how that works. And if I had seen it for the first time, it would definitely appear as magic. So this energy medicine, do we need to know why it works? There's a lot of physics, and I could talk for hours about the physics of why this works. But we've seen that it works. We have the success stories. We have the people whose lives have been changed. So the important thing is, what does it change for you? So what I'd like to do right now is to do an actual session for you. And so hopefully you tested something that was real for you. You walked around, you checked your neck, your back, how you felt. If something were to change for you, what might that be? What would you like? And we're going to go ahead and do a session. So you might want to notice how you feel as I do this. And I'm going to do this. Okay. And while it's useful to do things in the so-called real world, which I think there's, it's a real world, with all this nutrition stuff, we're going to go ahead and do this for you energetically so you have this information and your body can already run with it. So we're going to bring in the grease, the guts, the grass, the bone, the sprouts, and the pickles. And then we're going to come into your GI tract, and if a baby can get instantly given the right bacteria, and if a mom can change her bacteria that quickly, let's go ahead and I wonder what could change for you now. So if you're interested in how this works, the physics of it, let me know and I'll be happy to make another video for you or point you in directions so you could know how this could change like this. So quickly, we're going to go to your kidneys. Like my Qigong teacher Ming Tong says, the kidneys. If anything's going on, work on the kidneys. So we're going to go to the kidneys and bring them up. Start at the bottom, the pelvis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here goes again. And go back and support your kidneys. So let's go through the physical kidneys, the mental, emotional story of the kidneys, the spiritual kidneys. And then let's make sure your hypothalamus, pituitary, thalamus, pineal, brainstem, spinal cord, thymus, thyroid, and colon. Okay, now we're going to hook you up. There's a cool experiment, I might talk about it another time, but about yogurt and some experiments around yogurt. We're going to go to thoughts, beliefs, emotions, feelings, because that can affect your bacteria. And let's bring that up. And then let that go. Okay, so what you might do is notice what you notice. Now you might notice things that are different that you can test right now. And you might notice things that are different tomorrow or the next day. And so that's a useful thing to do so that you can notice how much can change. And you can do this now, and you can also do it later. Okay. Yeah, so let me know what you noticed with that session. And that's awesome. So now, in this video, I talked about toxins and how it's important to get rid of toxins if they're affecting you. And I'm going to get you that PDF of 18 possible things to look for. And what if you already have toxins in you? What if you have a history of antibiotics and you have a history of mercury fillings and you have a history of other toxicities and other medications and you've been on psychotropic drugs or this or that, and you have a lot of stuff that's been in your body? A lot of processed food, a lot of sugar. How do you get rid of that? So in the next video, I'm going to be talking about the liver and about detox and how you can shift that. Even if you've had a past with a lot of antibiotics or a lot of vaccines or a lot of a lot of toxins of all sorts. So look for that in the next video. I look forward to getting that to you, and it's a big piece to the autoimmune condition solving thing too. And so look for that in a couple of days. In the meantime, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you've noticed that's different since being on these sessions, and what's been different in your life physically, but also mentally, emotionally, spiritually, path and purpose, anything that's been different for you, I'd love to hear. So please leave me a comment below, and go ahead and hit like. I like likes. Everybody likes likes, and that would be great. So until next time, I look forward to seeing you, and let's go get out there and live, really live. So this is Ralph Havens signing off, and I'll see you in a couple of days.